All right, so you've done it. You passed your test, you got the bike, and you're finally out there on your own. But what happens now? That first month of riding is one of the most exciting, but also one of the most challenging and critical times you'll ever have on two wheels. So let's dive into a real-world roadmap for not just surviving, but actually thriving in your first 30 days. And let's just start with a straight shot of honesty, right? This is the point where that amazing buzz of passing your test crashes right into the cold, hard reality of the road. It can be tough, for sure. You're probably going to question yourself. But the most important thing to hear is this. What you're feeling is completely normal, and the reward for pushing through it is just massive. Because let's be real, once that instructor isn't in your ear anymore, it is a whole new ballgame. Every single decision, every gear change, every mirror check, every single judgment call at a junction, it's suddenly all on you. The real learning, well, it's just getting started. That feeling on your first solo ride is just incredible, isn't it? Pure freedom. But then, comes the fifth ride. Maybe you're in traffic, you're a little tired, and it starts to drizzle. All of a sudden, you're juggling gears, observations, road position, and it feels less like freedom and more like work. That moment right there, that's what we're talking about. And it is not a sign you made a mistake. It's a sign you're actually becoming a real rider. Okay, so this is really important to understand. Not all riding is created equal. The way you ride to work on a Tuesday is fundamentally different from how you ride on a beautiful, sunny Sunday morning, and each one builds a totally different part of your skill set. So what's really interesting here is the trade-off, right? Commuting, on one hand, makes you an absolute expert on your route. You learn every single pothole, every tricky light sequence, but, and this is a big but, that repetition can lead straight to complacency, where you stop really seeing what's actually around you. Now, leisure riding, that's all about exploration. It keeps your brain sharp, focused on new roads, new challenges, and most importantly, it reminds you why you started doing this in the first place, because it is fun. So, the takeaway here is pretty simple. You need to find a balance. If you only ever commute, you have to make time for a weekend ride with no destination. And if you only ride for fun, try using the bike for a quick, practical errand. This mix is what keeps your skills sharp and, just as important, it keeps that joy of riding alive and well. Okay, listen up, because this next section is absolutely critical. There is a well-documented period for new riders where the risk of having an accident actually goes up, and it happens right after that initial fear starts to wear off. Let's talk about how to see it coming and how to ride right through it safely. So, you've been riding for a week, maybe two. You're not stalling at every single light anymore. You're starting to feel like, hey, I've got this, right? The bike feels less like this crazy beast and more like an extension of you. And that's a great feeling, but it's also a huge warning sign. Because that exact feeling of comfort, that's what defines the most statistically dangerous time for a new rider. It's this psychological trap that catches so many people out. It's all about the gap between how good you feel you are and how good you actually are. See, your confidence shoots up to here, but your real-world experience, your brain's library of tricky situations and near misses, is still way down here. And it's in that gap where mistakes happen. And these are the classic traps. You start carrying just a little more speed into the corners. You stop checking your mirrors quite so obsessively. You get a little bit lazy on that commute we talked about. So what's the antidote? You have to stay humble. You have to remind yourself you are still a learner. Keep your speed in check, and keep up those paranoid observations your instructor drilled into you. And you have got to remember this. You'll have a great ride one day and feel like a motorcycle god, and then the very next day you'll have a terrible ride where nothing clicks and you feel like a total beginner again. This isn't you going backwards. This is just what learning feels like. It's a messy, wobbly process. You just gotta embrace the wobble. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about this social side of things. At some point, you're probably going to want to join a group ride. It's one of the best parts of biking, for sure, but it has its own set of rules that you really need to know before you head out. Think of these 4 points as your survival guide. Staggered formation, that gives everyone space and a clear view ahead. The 2-second rule still applies, but it's to the rider diagonally in front of you, giving you braking room. And number 4 is the most important one. It's non-negotiable. Ride your own ride. A good group will never, ever pressure you to go faster than you're comfortable with. And if they do, find a new group. Simple as that. And trust me, it is worth learning the etiquette because the payoff is just huge. You'll discover these incredible roads you would never find on your own. You can get amazing informal advice from riders who've been at this for decades, and you get to be part of this incredible community. Okay, so you're about a month in, you've probably clocked up a few hundred miles. Now is the perfect time to, metaphorically, pull over and do a quick, honest self assessment just to see where you're at. Just think about these core skills: slow speed stuff, smooth gear changes, confident braking. Now, this is not a test, it's just a personal inventory. If you think about doing a tight U turn and you feel that little knot in your stomach, that's not failure. That's fantastic. You've just identified exactly what to practice next. This is all about finding your next steps, not judging yourself. And please, I'm begging you, do not compare your month one skills to some YouTuber who's been riding for 10 years. It is a recipe for feeling totally inadequate. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is you from last week. Are you a little smoother? A little more confident? That's progress. That is the win. So let's finish up by taking a moment to properly reflect. And this isn't some fluffy nonsense, okay? This is how you turn all the experiences of your first month into a solid plan for the next one. First, the big one. And be honest with yourself. If the answer is no, then you have to ask why. Is it the bike, the traffic, the pressure? You have to figure out the why now, because just pushing through misery is not the goal. Riding should add to your life, not take away from it. Next question, what still makes your heart rate spike? Is it big, busy roundabouts? Riding in the rain? You have to name your demons, because as soon as you can name them, you can make a plan to conquer them. These are your goals for month 2. And finally, think back to any of those "whoa, that was close" moments. Don't just brush them off. Analyze them. What actually caused it? What could you have done differently? A near miss is the cheapest, most effective lesson you will ever get on a motorcycle. Don't waste it. And after all that serious analysis, you need to take a moment and celebrate. I'm serious. So many people give up in that first month because it's way harder than they expected. You didn't. You pushed through the fear, the frustration, the wobbles, and you're still here. Give yourself credit for that. So we'll leave you with this final thought. Nobody enjoys 100% of their first month of riding. Nobody. If you're somewhere in that 60-40 split, you are right on track. The struggle is part of the journey. Keep riding, keep learning, and trust the process. It gets so much better.